Welcome to the Top Advisor Podcast, brought to you by Proud Mouse Pod Rocket Academy. I'm your host, Bill Cates, creator of the Cates Academy for Relationship Marketing. In each episode, I interview one of our industry's top performers, getting them to pass on their secrets to success to you, so that you can impact more lives and generate more income. Now, on to the show. Welcome. Before we get going, I want you to know about our on-demand video-based program that will allow you to learn almost everything I teach related to client acquisition, particularly referrals, introductions, communicating your value, and creating productive relationships with centers of influence. We offer listeners of Top Advisor Podcast a $200 membership fee reduction to the Academy. When you get a minute, head over to thecatesacademy.com. That's thecatesacademy.com. Write it down if you're not driving. And use coupon code TCA, the Cates Academy, TCA 200, and you'll save $200. So if you've been following my work for any length of time, you know that my business expertise and my personal mission all converge on the topic of referrals, more specifically, personal introductions. Let me explain. For almost 30 years, I've been showing financial professionals how to create exponential growth by multiplying their best clients. That's my business expertise. My personal mission is to help as many people as I can make an educated financial decision that's in their best interest. For some, that means creating, maintaining, and providing financial dignity for themselves and their loved ones. For others, it means growing their wealth to live a life of abundance. Therefore, by helping financial professionals meet and serve more people, I bring my business expertise and personal mission together. This is why I've been looking forward to today's show with my special guest, successful financial advisor Tyson Vines. I first met Tyson in the fall of 2020 when I interviewed him as part of my preparation for a presentation to a group of very successful financial professionals. In fact, my interview with Tyson and several of his colleagues were the spark to get me started with this very Top Advisor podcast. But that's a longer story for another time. I'll take just a couple of minutes to give you a little more information about Tyson, and then we'll dig into several topics that I think you'll find relevant, interesting, and extremely useful in your own success journey. After a long Wall Street career helping sovereign wealth funds, pensions, and private banks globally, Tyson founded V Financial Partners in 2012 with the mission to care for people and their businesses through personal finance and increase financial literacy in an enjoyable, open, and honest way. To say that Tyson is fulfilling his mission would be an understatement. In 2021, Tyson was named to the Forbes list of the top 250 financial security professionals, and just named number 2 in Ohio by Forbes in July of 2022. And Tyson has achieved this great level of success while still in his 30s, currently 38, so the later edge of 30s. So he's still a young pup for a lot of people in this world. While graduating from Ohio University, double majoring in accounting and finance, Tyson met his wife, Lorena, the first day of college and have been married for 15 years. Tyson and Lorena live in Aurora, Ohio, outside of Cleveland, with their daughter, Juliana, and their son, Liam. And as a family, they enjoy traveling, specifically to see family in Italy and explore the world. Finally, get this. Tyson's very successful practice has been referral only for about 5 years, and he averages 3.5 incoming qualified referral prospects per week. And that's something we have to get into. So, Tyson Vines, welcome to Advisor Podcast.
Thank you, Bill. Absolutely honored to be here. And hopefully it's the best 15 minutes of the week for a lot of folks.
Yeah, and maybe a little more than 15 minutes, but we'll make it as valuable as possible. So I know that you approach your business with a lot of heart and a lot of passion. It shows up on your website, shows up in how we talk. And it seems that this comes from 2 major events in your life, events that you don't shy away from sharing with others. In fact, on your website, under the banner Tyson's Story, you have a pretty well-produced video that tells your story and how those experiences drive you and your mission to serve your clients every day. If you would, please give our listeners the executive briefing of these stories and how you tie these stories back to how your clients benefit from working with you.
Well, thank you. Stories make us. We're all
Mm.
unique and we all have our own journey, and really excited to share mine today. And especially through, Tyson's story that you can easily see online, really started at two really important times in my life. First, I was a 6-year-old farm boy in North Central Ohio. And unfortunately, a tragedy struck our family, and my grandfather was pushing dirt behind a barn, and a tractor rolled over on him, and then he unfortunately died the same day.
Mm.
Sadly, there was no life insurance to help the farm keep going. It was a tough time in the early 90s in dairy farming business. And, row by row, we ended up selling every piece of equipment, machinery, and a lot of land, unfortunately, so that my grandmother, newly widowed, had enough to, continue her story. So that was a situation where, man, if we had life insurance, my family would have been in a little different situation. Who knows? I might be doing this from a cornfield instead.
You might
But
be a farmer right now, right?
that's right. But I have a feeling I probably be on this podcast somehow. And then secondly, starting, investing in stocks when I was 12, 13 years old, starting a Roth IRA when I was 16, doing all these kinds of things. Went to college, accounting and finance, and loved investing. But again, tragedy struck my family. I'm 2-3 weeks into college. I get a call from my dad. He lets me know that he just saw a scan that he has lung cancer. And unfortunately, we have to start chemo treatments right away. Not a year and a half later, he passed away. But here, there is a silver lining. There was life insurance. He said it wasn't going to happen to him. And there was enough life insurance for my mom and dad to keep the house they built together, myself to stay in college, my sister to get ready for college herself, and to be able to live the legacy that he wanted to live for us. So life insurance changed my life. It's enhanced my life, and it's definitely a part of a protection first planning process that I have. And I know it's not fun to talk about. It's uncomfortable to talk about. And it's so necessary.
But you don't shy away from it. I mean, you have a video that talks about it. You've seen it from both sides, right? You've seen it from not having a plan in place, and you've seen it from having at least some plan in place and the difference it makes. So I'm curious. When do you bring the story up? Do you direct people to the video? Do your clients refer you by sharing that story? Tell me how you use this in your prospecting client acquisition process, if at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that, at first I was really, really shy about. I didn't want to talk about. I didn't want to bring it up. I almost didn't even produce the video, but I was definitely encouraged by some peers to do so. And I'm so thankful I did. So how do we share it? Just from a individual perspective, it's really cool. You can make basically an Amazon Kindle almost in a bifold. It only costs maybe $30, $40 to produce nowadays. You can actually have a video that you can send to certain prospects or COIs. And I did that in the beginning of my career, really just kind of to share my story, just in a better and direct way, to say, hey, business owner or individual or caring dad or mom, definitely think about getting life insurance. And that was just a great gateway to talk about other planning, investment planning, financial planning, fee-based businesses, and all those kinds of things. We're a desperately underinsured world out there, and not enough wealth advisors are talking about life insurance because it's difficult, and oftentimes it's a one-time sale. But it's so important, especially in estate planning and portfolio management these days. So that piece there, definitely want it to be there. A lot of my clients, I would say half of them don't know it exists until they kind of bring it up or they saw it. I do share it sometimes periodically, especially around Lifetime Awareness Month in September and those kinds of things. But, I encourage everybody on this call to share their story about life insurance and protection. And, if you need to steal mine, that's fine. That's just as good. So
Well, it's funny. When I talk to folks who don't have a why as compelling as yours, um, especially folks that are new in the business, I often will say, yes, use someone else's why. Now, don't lie and say it's yours, but say you were inspired by it. So someone could certainly
right.
go to yours and say, let me tell you a little bit about why I do this. And it came from watching a story of one of my colleagues in this business, right? So you're being honest, and you were inspired by someone else's story till you get your own story. Obviously, it's better if your own. And real quick, Tyson, I want to let everybody know that if they haven't already done so, I highly recommend that everyone also goes and listens to episode number 25 of Top Advisor Podcast. It's a fun and very informative interview with Deidre Van Ness discussing how to create and use what she calls a personal brand story. So very similar. So that's episode number 25 with Deidre Van Ness. So moving forward, I think one of the reasons you've been so successful is that you're guided by a pretty clear mission that goes beyond just making a lot of money, although you're doing that too. You told me that you have a burning desire to change the wealth management industry. Now that's a pretty big
Yeah.
mission, right?
Yeah.
And then you can influence as best you can, and I guess be the change you want to see. But so tell me more about that. Tell me about this burning desire, why you have this, and how it's shaping your practice.
Absolutely. We both live in a world where it's either we do it ourselves or we want to work with somebody we know and trust. And a lot of these big corporations and wealth management firms out there are really trying to get to that person without a personal connection, without that personal introduction. And it's really high net worth or nobody. And that's really, really unfortunate because there's some amazing mass affluent folks, or I love this generation, which serves me wonderfully. The Henrys, the high earners, not rich yets. These are the folks that are, changing the world, and is that middle management vice president who's going to be CEO someday. Working and starting out, 5-10 years ago, a lot of my folks, 6-figure earning professionals are just cresting that, are now making $250,000, $500,000, $1 million plus a year, in addition to just living their personal mission and their story. So I think under $1 million, 6-figure young professionals are often overlooked. I think the under $1 million, $2 million pre-retiree is being overlooked. I think the, friends and family that just need some basic guidance. Robo advisors aren't necessarily there for them. And if we don't know and trust somebody, we're not going to work with them. So
essentially your way of changing, if you will, is by expanding the net of who gets helped.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because there's not enough of this. It's something I'm really hopeful about. And then unfortunately, there are not enough people that have kind of that institutional investment bank background, or, some financial advisors, we kind of trip into the career, or we started as, maybe insurance professionals and then moved into wealth management or fee-based planning, or they started in another channel and just do fee-based planning. But I think being a hybrid advisor these days, where you're super, super transparent, there's absolutely situations that commissions make sense. And there's absolutely situations where flat fees make sense. But if you're open, which I am to the penny, I just want to break down those barriers and get the industry helping more and more and more people.
So do you talk about this to clients at all? Do you, it sounds like sometimes you share your story, right? The story that we've already discussed that you've gone through. Sometimes you don't. What about the mission that you're on and the fact that you're choosing to serve certain types of segments of our society that some advisors can't seem to be bothered with? Does that come up at all with either clients or centers of influence?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. I start off every meeting that, I love people and I love finance, and loving people through finance is what I do. I even trademarked it. I couldn't believe it was available, which is pretty fun. But I really start there, share core values and go through that and really kind of just share your why. And, this is what, God willing, I'm going to be doing the rest of my life. And if I can, continue to love people and enhance their lives and give them options and hopefully teach it, and help and mentor as many advisors as possible. And I hope everyone listening does the same. If we take care of people, it's just going to take over the world. I really believe it.
Loving people through finance. I can't say that you hear that much. It's probably why you got it trademarked.
That's right. It's surprising, huh?
Well, not really. I mean, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's welcome. I mean, I was just having a conversation earlier today, and a guy was interested in my coaching, and he wanted to have more joy in his practice. And I go, well, there's not a word you hear a lot, but why not?
That's
right?
great.
Why not create more joy in the
Why
work
not?
you do? Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're hopefully by helping other people make the right financial decisions, you're going to help them create a little joy in their life too. At least reduce the stress. So
That's right.
in a minute, I want you to tell everyone about two things. I'm going to tease a couple of things coming up. First, your very simple yet effective way to talk to your clients about referrals that yields this 3.5 incoming referral prospects per week. I've never seen the half person, but we'll see what that looks like.
Right. Some weeks are 3, some weeks are 7, right?
I know, I get it.
But that's funny.
and then I also want you to talk about your core values that guide your business. It's something that's come up in some past interviews from time to time with advisors, and it seems that advisors who really have dug into their values, the core values, shares it with their team, they seem to be a step ahead and head and shoulders above others in terms of their success. So I want to talk about how you're getting so many referrals and a little bit of your values. But first, I want to take a brief pause to listen to a word from our sponsor, PodRocket Academy, who makes this podcast possible. And I should add, produces this podcast as a business of helping advisors launch their own podcasts.
This podcast is sponsored by Proudmouth, the Influence Accelerators.
Proudmouth.
It's tough to be seen as an expert if you're spending most of your time as a salesperson. That's why we help industry experts like you spend less time selling and more time advising by turning you into a trusted subject matter authority. We help amplify your influence over a growing audience of magnetically attracted fans who will chase you down instead. Visit proudmouth.com to learn more.
Be your own loud.
Before we continue with this episode, I want to let you know about some free resources that I invite you to retrieve after you've listened to today's interview. You'll find checklists, guides, videos, and other tools. Simply go to referralcoach.com/resources. Now, write this down, unless you're driving. That's referralcoach.com/resources. While you're there, make sure you sign up for our weekly tips, where we're always sharing best practices, and we'll notify you of our newest podcast interviews as they go live. And while these are free to you, I think you'll find them quite valuable. Also, if you're on a podcast site that accepts ratings and reviews, I'd be grateful if you could provide us with a 5-star rating and review. Thank you. So back to our featured guest on Top Advisor Podcast. This is Tyson Vines with V Financial Partners based in Aurora, Ohio. Tyson, as promised, tell us about your simple and yet very effective way of speaking to your clients about referrals that, as I've said before, nets you an average of 3.5 qualified incoming referral prospects per week.
Wow, thanks. And I'm glad to hear from you that's a good number and that's really, really strong. But at the core of it, I want to care about people you care about most. And it really starts there. And it's whether that's, a colleague, a parent, a friend, or sibling. I want them to keep me top of mind.
So you say to them, I want to care about, say that again. Let me get that right.
That's right. I want to care about the people you care about most.
Okay. And that's it. I mean, that's what generates.
So with that is that
you're just putting me out of business. I'm telling you
no,
right now.
no, I mean, you're radically relevant, Bill, like your new book is titled, but it's absolutely true. But I think it just starts there. You're not asking, you're not pulling, you're not grabbing, you're not getting a list of 10 or 20 people. It is just saying, hey, I want to be on top of their mind and their heart that, hey, Tyson is taking care of me. I'm being cared for by my wealth advisor, and I need to share with them those folks. Whether it was an email from a client to say, hey, you were the talk of the town around the campfire over the weekend, or I got a referral today at lunch with a client that says, hey, I'm going to send my colleague your way. I know you're going to take care of them. Those are the best. And then if you over deliver and do the right thing and are so consistent for your clients, I strongly believe and I'm a living testament that those referrals do roll in. So
what I think you said the word there, the operative word is that you're referable.
That's right.
The little piece of proactivity in your part, I think in and of itself wouldn't create the result that you're getting if you weren't highly referable. So you're loving people through finance. By the way, do you say that to clients? I know it's on your website
every day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So they get that authenticity, they get that heart. You're obviously going to attract people who are attracted to that, right? If you are the pure analytical and you couldn't, a pure analytical or driver might not be able to actually say those words. Loving people.
I don't know. I have a ton of analytical and drivers. Bill, you'd be absolutely surprised. I had a NASA scientist last week, driver CEO last week. They're both amazing clients.
And they respond well to that too.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we're human. I think we want to be cared for. And,
sure.
And I think that's a part of it. And I don't think, that's our greatest commandment is to love one another. And that kind of Matt goes into the other two things you wanted me to share, was talking about core values and what are you thinking about every day?
Yeah.
I think about two things every day as a business owner. It's one is how can I love people through finance? And then number two is how can I build recurring revenue? Because I want to do this every day forever. And I want to, have the platform and the people and the legacy to live on to keep caring for folks. So I think if you do those two things hand in hand, think about the operating free cash flow. That's the accountant in me. I'm a recovering analytical Bill. So that's really helpful for me. And then just staying rooted in that is super, super helpful. So, and then kind of talking about 3 core values publicly on my website and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, hey, George, I want to introduce you to my financial advisor. He's going to love you through finance. Say what? No,
I'm not sure the conversation goes like that, but maybe let's talk it through.
Who cares? It's working. My philosophy around this is if it's legal, ethical, and moral, and people get served well along the way, give it a try. Yeah. There's no one right way to be successful and to serve people in this business. So
that's right.
Let's get into the core values. And obviously, one of them is, how do I love people through finance? But I know there's more to it. Recurring revenue. Is there anything else? I know you've talked in the past to me about confidence and being open. Just put a little more meat on that core value.
Yeah, absolutely. And for every listener out there, I strongly encourage you to think about what are the words or the core values, not just a mission statement. Like what are the tenets? What are the core pillars of your life? Think about those words and how you want to share them. And I challenge you to share those with your clients. And it has absolutely helped my process and it's given me more confidence to build my business. So I start with 3 core values with every single client, every single conversation. It starts with number 1. Everything we talk about today is in confidence, as I use confidence, not confidential, because you have to have confidence in me. And then there's a lot more to that, but that's the core. So number 1 is confidence. Number 2 is enhance. I want to make your life better. I want to give you choice. I like to think about things in good, better, best. There's no right way to do financial planning, but there is a wrong way. So it's my job to make sure that doesn't happen. So giving them that it's their plan, it's their journey, push back, ask questions. There's always a different way, but if I'm not enhancing someone's life, then we shouldn't work together. And 3 is hopefully where I'm different, but I want the whole industry to be open, and I want them to be open about number 1 and how they get paid. Number 1, number 2, what's going on in your own personal life? Are you debt free, or, how are you? What are some best practices you do for clients in similar situations? And then 3rd is open architecture. I think you need to sell many products from many different companies, so that you can truly be, that fiduciary that we're called to be.
Being transparent about fees, commissions, the various ways you get paid. I know that a lot of advisors kind of struggle with that. They have trouble talking about the money that they get paid. Right? They don't mind talking about asking a client to invest them, bring over $1 million of investable assets. But then when it comes to talking about this is how I am compensated for the value I believe I'm going to bring to you, it's a tough conversation. And you kind of agree with that. Tell us more about that and how you got past that, if you had to get past that.
I made it easier for myself over the years. And one of it is that, I typically charge less. Looking at all the league tables and everything else, I'm typically probably 1/3 to a half less than others. That's okay. I think it's kind of a leading edge part of it. And then it's okay. Clients know how the business works. I want to bring that fact out before the client asks me, what are you getting paid? Because that's an uncomfortable conversation to get back, because they already have preconceived notions about it. But if you directly start it and say, I'm open in how I'm compensated. I know some states require it in certain ways and some don't, but if you're really open about it, to me, I'd say 1 in 10 clients truly ask, let's go over the, to the penny. But the fact that you are available and super honest about it, why not show your value? You want to create value that is emotional value, and it's very rational monetary value as well. So,
yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me, and it's kind of I guess when you think about, not that this is an objection, but one of the things you're taught is if there's a prevalent objection that you get in whatever you do, you don't wait for it to come up and then react to it. You bring it up first, right?
That's right.
So this is kind of falls in that category of, let's just put it out there. So we have a little bit of control over when it comes up and how it gets discussed, as opposed to someone just saying it and you're not quite ready for it, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. So kind of breaking it down to all those core values, that point shows up in every one of them. So in confidence is that, I share with my clients, no one will know to a penny what you have, any hidden desire of your heart, what's going on with your health, your family, whether you're going to move, change jobs, all that kind of stuff. That secret stays with me. I don't want the client asking me, so are you going to tell Bill about what we're doing today? Right. And then 2 is where enhance, giving clients choices. Clients don't want to be in a pigeonhole. They don't want to say, oh, I'm definitely going to talk about annuities today, or, oh, I guess we're going to talk about, mutual funds and portfolio management, and, oh, what's your planning fee? Just talk about options and get that open to say, let them know that they have a choice and they have power over the conversation. And then, 3, we just talked about it being open.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think it takes any of the sting out, and you do charge a little less. So you're kind of ahead of the curve in terms of the pressure, the downward pressure that people or advisors are feeling around fees anyway.
Sure.
So that it kind of takes that as an issue off the table.
Yeah. And all my friends tell me I don't charge enough, and we'll work on that, I guess. So.
Yeah. And you're doing very well. And so you're loving people through finance.
Authenticity is such a buzzword today. It's almost watered down. It's used on every single piece of branding email we get. But at the core of it, it's an issue of heart, connection, and love. So how do you coach others to be their authentic self and their business, and especially their sales process?
Yeah. It's a great question. I think some advisors, well, I know because I talk to a lot of them every day, struggle with this a little bit because they don't want to look weak or needy. I mean, in my interview with Deidre Van Nest, it was, advisors ask, should I really share that part of me? And, can I be vulnerable with a client and all that? Well, the answer is yes. I mean, you got to be careful. You don't want to bleed all over people or do therapy with your clients, but they want to get a sense of who you are. They need to know what you do. They want to know how you do it. And they also want to know who you are. And I think it's become more important over the last, let's say, 5-10 years than it used to be. It just seems to be the trend in this industry. And so one of the things that I coach people and teach people to do is what we really talked about at the beginning of this interview, which is the why story, whether you call it your personal brand story. I tend to call it your client-focused why, because it's about you, but it's focused on the client and how they'll benefit from the fact that you've been through that experience. That's what helps create a personal connection. And when the folks that I've coached, when they talk about their why, their client-focused why, early on in their brand new relationships, and they reveal a little bit of what's important to them and what they value, they win more clients because they're more authentic, and they also become more referable more quickly. So this brings me to that conversation around business friendship. Now, when I talk about business friendship, I'm not saying, going out late at night with your clients and drinking and telling each other deep, dark secrets. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about creating relationships that go beyond the core work that you do. And I think everyone listening to this understands that concept, but very few people that I've met know how to do that or take the step to do it. And one of the best ways to do it is with client events, client appreciation events, where you get together with folks in a social setting. And heck, just walking people out to their car after a meeting, walking them to the elevator, just meeting, if they tend to come to your office, meet them at their office or meet them at their home from time to time, and just get in those different environments. And what happens is different parts of you and different parts of them come out into the relationship. And that's how you build those business friendships. And I'll tell you, the secret sauce to creating advocates, and I have a feeling this is one reason why you've done so well with building this referral only business without asking for them, is the secret sauce to advocates are the business friendships. That's when right. Not only do they see the value that you've brought to them, and they want others in their life to experience that value, they also care about you, the advisor, and they don't mind helping you be more successful as well. Would you agree with that? Would you say that's part of the equation that you see with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Events are great, and just taking time and just talking about what's going on in their lives and just being so much more than, their wealth advisor or an insurance advisor or what have you. But absolutely.
And not all clients want that, but most do. And the ones you're going to attract probably in most cases do, because we just tend to attract people that like us or like the way we are naturally. So my last question to you, Tyson, is one I like to ask many of my featured guests. And that is, what makes you optimistic right now about your business and or financial advisory and planning industry in general? What gets you juiced or looking forward to the future?
Yeah, I'm super optimistic. I'm in this forever, and hopefully everyone on this call is in this forever as well, and wants to pass it on to the next generation after that. We are our biggest competitive advantage. Each and every one of us has stories. We have core values. We have that authentic self to share, and that's what's going to make you different. To me, people need and want to be cared for. We want a human interaction. If we didn't, we would just do it online ourselves. And a lot of people do. But there's a vast majority of the population that wants someone to talk to, share ideas with, someone to listen, to what they want to accomplish. A mega corporation can't do that. And an algorithm can't quite do that perfectly either. So to me, it's a hug, a handshake, a smile over Zoom. It can't be replaced. And there's not enough loving, qualified people out there giving really, really good advice. So I have a ton of hope for people, that we can, love people through finance together, and it's going to be tremendous. I know it will be.
I love it. So I think it's obvious. I hope it's obvious to folks listening to this why you have been able to be successful. And there's a lot of people say that they're referral only, but they're not necessarily very successful. There's not a level of activity that would inspire a lot of people, but you are.
You still have to go to work every day. That's for sure.
Well, of course, of course. So Tyson Vines, founder of V Financial Partners, Aurora, Ohio. Thank you so much for being on Top Advisor Podcast.
Oh, thank you. Honored to be a part of it.
I've been looking forward to this for a long time. So thank you. To you, the listener of this podcast, I'd like to ask a small favor. If you like this episode or like the podcast in general, please leave a 5-star review on the platform you're listening to this show. Not all platforms have a place for reviews, but if yours does, I certainly be grateful. If you haven't already, head over to referralcoach.com/resources to sign up for our weekly tips and access a ton of free guides. I like to say free, but still valuable. This is Bill Cates reminding you that ideas do not make you more successful. Only acting on those ideas will bring you the success you desire. Thanks for stopping by today. Thank you for listening to the Top Advisor Podcast, brought to you by Proud Mouse Pod Rocket Academy. I encourage you to visit my website, referralcoach.com, for links to my books, online courses, and to register for the Cates Academy.